Everybody, today I wanted to talk about a simple, very simple advice that is very simple, but yet at the same time it can be very hard. And it's something that will help you in your life on every level. Now, you've seen plenty of videos, I'm sure, about self improvement, about making changes within yourself, or somebody going through, let's say, depression, or somebody going through anxiety. These are things I've been through, or bodybuilding, the mental focus, and the continuity of your work that you continue and you do on a regular basis and you don't miss workouts, or martial arts, or quitting smoking. These are all subjects that I've, delved into or been involved in, and made some progress, some better than others. And first and foremost, every change that you make, you have to decide. The decision in your head that sets the whole thing. Um, and that decision, you have to begin. The harder the topic, um, the thing that you want to change or the thing that you want to improve in yourself, the harder, the more difficult it is, the more of a mental breakthrough that you have, the more of like a mental shift. You have to change the way you think. You have to change the way that you perceive things, even. Um, and that takes a lot of energy, and it takes a constant renewal. A lot of people have this idea that when they start something, they start it on day one and they go up to day 40, 50, 3 months, 10 months, a year, a couple years making this change. Let's say for all the no-fappers out there. Um, and this is actually a separate piece of advice that I wasn't initially going to get into making this video, but I'll add it in here. Why not? And that is actually to continually refresh and renew the resolve and the mental focus that it requires to get out of a depression, to stop smoking, to be continuous in your work in the gym or in martial arts or in your diet, making changes in your diet or sticking to a certain diet, something that you want to achieve or change in yourself, and that you constantly renew it. And the renewal is because every time you start something, it's fresh and it's new. And every day, if you can do that every day, or even say to yourself like an affirmation, or remind yourself, speak to yourself and tell yourself, remind yourself why you're doing this. Write it down is a great thing, and reread it, or say it to yourself. Power of speech is incredible. And it really truly has no bounds to somebody who knows how to use it. That mental focus you have to renew constantly so that it's fresh and it doesn't get old, because your mind, its nature, will try to tell you or try to convince you to go back on something or to let a little leeway in, cut yourself some slack. And you can overcome that by a constant reminders. And it depends on what the subject is. Let's say NoFap. NoFap is something incredibly difficult for people who are used to vapping. Let's just put it that way. Um, it can be incredibly difficult. Something that a lot of men, many, almost probably all men, do or have done for probably a regular basis for many years of their lives. And especially something if you start young and you've been going through years, and it's a habit that comes with a physical, natural bodily urge that's incredible to overcome. And to be able to overcome something like that, you need a lot of resolve. You need a lot of mental focus, and you need to help yourself with that resolve and that mental focus to renew that all the time, especially every day. Things that you do every day are powerful. Things that they start to become habits, and they stick with you. And to tell yourself, why am I doing this? Why am I making this change? Whatever this change is that you want to do, whatever you want to achieve, accomplish, change in yourself, improve. and renewing that and constantly renewing that. But okay, this sounds really serious. We're getting into this, and I hate self-improvement videos on YouTube, books, all this stuff. You know, everybody has it, and you can learn a lot of useful stuff from them. But in a lot of cases, it's too hard to go with a certain thing, and some people just need different things than others. But this is an advice that people can utilize on a regular basis that works for everybody. Is something that's, you constantly renew this resolve, this mental focus. There's a reason you're going over it, and you're reminding yourself, and even talking to yourself or going through it in your head. Why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? And I keep doing it as hard as it is. And that's a massive way to keep that focus and that mental power fresh. And the main point of this video, what I originally wanted to talk about, was right now what I'm telling you sounds very serious. It sounds, hard, because it is. But never let this heaviness of going through this kind of change, or trying to get yourself out of a depression, which is a heaviness of its own, and it can be really bad. Never let that get to you. Always joke. Always be happy as much as you can, even if it means going on YouTube and watching videos of memes and vines and just laughing at something ridiculous and stupid and funny, and making yourself laugh, or just simply thinking about something and keeping that with you. And not only just being happy, even if it's like superficial on a certain level, it's a very good thing. Having this positive, and I hate to use this terminology like positive mindset, but in lack of a better phrase, that's what I'm going to use. And one of the greatest things is that when you can begin to incorporate that into you yourself, how you relate to others at work, let's say. Some guy's pissing you off, man, and you can't stand him, and he's bothering you, and you don't want to work with this guy, you don't want to be around him. Try this. Don't take him seriously. Laugh at him. When somebody bothers you, you can do two things with it. You could probably do more than two things with it, but you can get all caught up in this anger, you allow yourself to be annoyed by this person. That's allowing that person to control you on some level. And it's the same thing trying to deal with this mental focus. Okay, don't let this change in your life, or this thing you're trying to accomplish, don't let it make you too serious and even depressed. Laugh about it. Laugh about it and be a little bit lax on yourself. Be for yourself. Do things for the best interests of yourself. If you're on a diet and it's the weekend and you want to have that Ben & Jerry's ice cream, okay, once in a while you can do something like that. It's not going to ruin your whole thing, but learn how to do it in moderation. And when you're going through this, sometimes you can't laugh, okay? Like, let's say you're trying to quit smoking. How do you laugh at stop smoking? You joke at how much you used to smoke. Well, then you're thinking about it, and it's going on in your head, and then you're thinking, oh my God, how much I want that cigarette. So what you have to do there is deflect the thoughts, okay? So you, in these situations, I'm coming up with these things, from my experience off the top of my head. Not so off the top of my head, but I'm coming up with this explanation off the top of my head. And so you can do this thing like with the dude at work who's pissing you off. You want to deck him. Okay, you could be all serious. You could take it to heart. You could be bitter. And you could think about how much you hate this guy, but then you're letting him live in your head free of rent. Don't let somebody do that to you. Take care of yourself. What do? You laugh at the motherfucker. Laugh at that guy. Just say, laugh at him, and you can even tell him. you're ridiculous, and laugh at him, because that's gonna get at him. Okay, that's gonna get at him. This dude's laughing at me. Yeah, I am, because you're being absurd. That's a better way to handle it. Still a little bit, aggressive if you're trying to avoid a fight or a confrontation or just a grudge between the two of you. The best way is just to laugh and not even try to get back at the person. Just laugh. Laugh at them. Use them as a source of comedy instead of a source of this depression or this anger. Um, but back to the cigarette. How do you get over that? Something you're used to smoking every hour, let's say. That hour comes, you get that craving. You could put it off another hour, but after that 2 hours, you're like, oh, now I really need a cigarette. Like, I really have it coming to me. It's like your reward. Um, and in those cases, when it's not a subject, it's not a person or a thing that you can just readily laugh at, the best thing there is to deflect your thoughts, because your thoughts are your thoughts. You have the power and the ability. Everybody and anybody has the power and the ability to redirect their thoughts. And you can only think of one thought at a time. Your mind, my mind, runs wild sometimes. I'm thinking about a lot of things. This video is kind of, here and there. Like I'm mentioning all these things. It's not very set because my mindset, I didn't really think about this video beforehand so much, and it's just coming off the top of my head, and that's indicative of how my head is working. Maybe that's good, maybe that's not good. I don't know. But deflecting your thoughts and changing your thought. When the thought comes up, you think of a cigarette, you have the ability to simply not think of that cigarette as if it almost doesn't exist. And that brings us back to the first thing I was talking about. I didn't even set it up this way, it just came out this way. The deflecting your thoughts is the same kind of thing as renewing this your drive for this thing you're trying to change or to better about yourself. And when you renew it, it's like you're changing your mindset, and it's more of in a bigger general picture. But it also is like the same thing as simply deflecting your thoughts from the things you don't want to think about and the things that you don't want them to bother you, or quitting smoking. Try not to think of that cigarette as much as possible. And then when you do, you look at it and you just say, it's just a cigarette. And you don't allow your mind to go and continue. It's not like you're pushing the thing out entirely, like cigarettes don't exist. I can't see that there's a cigarette there. You see it, you know it's there, and you might and you will want to smoke it if you're quitting smoking. But instead of doing that, don't let your mind start going on this lust, this desire to smoke this thing or eat this food or fap and bust a nut. Okay? Deflect the thought and deflect it immediately. And keep doing this, and it might seem like this is a ridiculous piece of advice, but keep doing this and you will train your mind to do it automatically all the time, where you become, it's like on autopilot where you automatically do this. And I hope that whatever you're trying to do, that this gives you some help, that it was helpful in some way. For me, it certainly has. Just that, honestly, I don't even follow through with this advice that I'm telling you as much as I should. And it seems, and that's another thing, pulling yourself and giving yourself the mental focus. I'm going through a million things right now. So I'm cutting myself some slack, and that's the same idea. I can only do what I can do, and I can try as hard as I can try, but I'm still a human being. And to not take it so seriously, and in general, don't take life so seriously. Because as soon as you do that, and as soon as you're looking and you're having regrets about your past, or you're looking to your future, and you're like, we only live in the here and now. We live right here and right now. And if you keep that into perspective, I'm right here, I'm right now, this moment, I'm not smoking the cigarette. This moment, I'm not fapping. I'm not thinking about yesterday. I'm not thinking about tomorrow. It doesn't exist. Because the only thing that exists is right now. And right now, I'm not doing this thing, or I am doing this thing. I am eating healthy. I am going to the gym. I'm sparring, I'm learning martial arts, I'm learning to kick people's asses, whatever it is. And that's all I got for today. I hope that helps people. I'm sure I could reiterate so many of these things and probably make each one a separate topic for another video. But that's what I got. That's how I'm doing this YouTube channel right now. So I hope you enjoyed.